COVID-19 vaccine is free, safe, and effective. Take it now to protect yourself and others. Also, remember to wash your hands, wear your face mask, and observe physical distance.
This message is from National Orientation Agency with support from UNICEF.
What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Yeah, yeah. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Millions of Nigerians have received COVID-19 vaccine. I have taken my own. What about you? We have taken our own. What about you? I am strong and healthy. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? We are strong and healthy. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Go get, go get. Go and get your time. Hospitals, churches, and the mosques. Go and get your time. Health centers, hurry up, don't be late. Go and get your time. Bye-bye, Corona. Bye-bye, Corona. Bye-bye, Corona. Bye-bye, Corona. Be careful, Nigerians. We are the end. Stay safe against Corona. Hurry up now, take haste now. Ensure you get vaccinated. Up to 80 get vaccinated. Use Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, Johnson. Go, let's go now. Go get your job. Go, let's go. Go, go get. Go and get your job. Go get. Go and get your bye-bye Corona. Bye-bye Corona. Get your job. Corona. Bye-bye Corona. Get your job. This message is brought to you by the National Primary Care Development Agency, NHCDA.
All right, well, it's COVID Talks right here on Omega 101.7 FM. We just took that message from our partners. And today, we're looking at the birth registration. Yes. What is the importance of birth registration? Birth registration is the official recording of a child's birth by a government agency, and it's one of the most important events in a child's life. Birth registration also establishes existence child under law and provides the foundation for ensuring many of the child's rights. After the birth of a child in the hospital, the institution will issue a certificate to the child as a proof of the birth. The birth report from the hospital is then taken to any national community registration center in the hospital or at the local government. Birth certificates are also important. It is to authenticate identity and nationality, to also gain access to healthcare and social services, access to education, access to third property, prevent child exploitation, work, driver's license, passport, to open bank accounts and register to vote. All right, so our focus is on birth registration, and we have on standby the state immunization officer Omuvuka Nkechi. Let's get connected with her right now and get into the conversation proper as she helps us x-ray critical issues surrounding the birth registration process this morning on Omega. All right, we have our guest, so let's get talking. A very good morning to you. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
A very good morning. You are welcome to Omega 101.7 FM, Mart Radio, your radio, and we're having a conversation on the birth registration. We want to know there are some lingering issues we need clarity on, and we know you are the state immunization officer, Onwuvuka Nkechi. So let's start off with the conversation. Why is birth registration important in Nigeria? But before you get to that, so let's have a layman understanding. What is the birth certificate? What is the birth registration? Let's talk about it.
Thank you so much, the moderator. To start with, I am Mrs. Nkechi Onwuvuka.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I'm Nkechi Onwuvuka, the State Immunization Officer, Anambra State. Okay, so we're here to talk about birth registration and its importance.
Yes.
To us.
Yes.
To the nation and to everybody. Yes, birth registration, as the name implies, is getting your child registered at birth, registered as a Nigerian
Mm,
at birth,
mm,
documented as a Nigerian at birth.
mm,
Is very, very important,
mm.
and it's used for so many things in future for that particular child and for that particular person.
Okay.
Let me pause here for more questions. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. You did it quite brief. It was brief. Thank you very much, Mrs. Nkechi. Okay, so what does the law say about birth registration?
Okay, birth registration, as I said earlier, is a document or a certificate given to a child when a child is registered at birth. It is signifies or notifies the nationality of that child. A child born in Nigeria is given a birth certificate of where Nigeria that child is born, the hospital, the location, the of that child at the place of birth and all that. It's an important document that cannot be overemphasized. Why? Because this birth certificate is going to be asked placed in life, even in during registration for schools,
Yeah.
primary schools, from kindergarten to start with.
Mm,
Good schools will ask you about the birth certificate of child.
mm,
This will now also help us to know whether the child is school, because most parents, they would like their children to start school or their child to start at the age of 6 or 6 years, 6 months.
mm,
And you know that child is not going to be in a pre-1 or pre or something. The child will be there as maybe in a daycare or something. And so the birth certificate will just tell us exactly, and then the further information we would like to know about the person, a man or a woman, will be revealed through birth certificates. When you're employing for work, they will demand for your birth certificate. You understand?
yes, I do.
This will tell them, because in some institutions and in some offices or establishments, they will require your birth certificate to know whether you are still within the age limit they want for their work. Some will tell you will not be more than 30 years of age, or 35 years of age, or 45 years of age.
Mm.
So this birth certificate will now enable the recruiting agency or the recruiting establishment to know whether you are still within that age limit.
Mm.
Yes. It has so many importance attached to it. It will help us in census counting.
Yeah.
Because once you go to National Population Commission, where things are done right, you get the detailed information of what you want, the situation of the country. It's not only birth certificates, we have also death certificates, those that are coming in and those that are leaving. Where it is done properly, you can get enough information that will tell you this is the population of Nigeria, and that will be just, it will be close to the population of Nigeria. To just be a little plus or minus close to the population of the nation, where things are done right. Because when you remove the people that, if well documented, when somebody dies, is recorded, and when somebody comes into the world, is documented, you can get a detailed information for your census from there.
Okay.
So we cannot overemphasize the importance of birth registration. If you want to travel abroad, you may need it. If you want to maybe go for your visa, or for your what do they call it? These passports, they will require it. So if you don't register your birth, if you don't register your child at birth, you are giving that child additional work when he grows up. to start looking for where he was born, getting information, and by then the information may not be authentic.
Oh.
There may be some mix up here and there. You wouldn't get accurate information of that particular child.
True.
So let me stop so far to hear more from you.
Okay, thank you very much. That has been the voice of Mrs. Nkechi, State Immunization Officer, Anambra State, and we're looking into birth registration, the importance. And of course, at some point, we're going to get into their challenges. Now, let's move up a bit. Let's get into the law. I understand, in the judiciary, but I understand you should have an inkling into what the law says about birth registration. We know that in Nigeria, there are provisions in the current legislation for birth registration. The federal government's decree number 69 of 1992 on vital registration also stated that registration shall be carried out free of charge within a period of 60 days from the date of birth. Over to you, Mrs. Nkechi. What does the law say about birth registration? Speaking to the layman in clearer understanding, let's get your view on that.
Well, as a matter of fact, birth registration is just, it's not my area of specialty. Okay. I think the national population, the MPOC people are in better position to explain that.
Okay.
But I know it cuts across my own work, because in the under immunization, when a child is born, we equally advise the mother to register the birth of the child.
True.
In the facility where where the child was born. So I wouldn't like to dampen into what I'm not too sure of about the law of birth registration and all that.
Okay, all right.
What I would like put in here is that birth registration is very important, especially to the government, because through birth registration they can dictate some frauds going on in the civil public service or thereabout. That's the much I can say about that.
All right. Well, the 2003 Child Rights Act, in its section 5, states that every child has the right to a name, and the birth of every child shall be registered. We'll go on a quick break, take a message from our partners, and when we get back, of course, this is audience participatory. What I mean by that, you are at liberty to call the number 0815 1017 777 if there are questions about birth registration and its processes, or if you've encountered challenges. We have the State Immunization Officer, Mrs. Nkechi, on the other side. She'll help us with the response to your questions. Let's go on this quick break. When I get back, we would continue, and of course, we're going to look into the challenges of birth registration in Nigeria. I'll be back after this break.
Onye ka ọ na-esere gị na ya?
Ọ bụ nwunye m. O kweghị m mmiri tọgbọ iko maka ịgba ọgwụ mgbochi COVID-19.
Ọ bụ na ịgbabeghị ọgwụ ahụ.
Mụnwa tụfịa akwa siri sụọ ịgba ọgwụ ahụ buru ibu. O nweghị ihe ma nke bụ eziokwu.
Papa Ebere, gọọmenti agaghị ebutere ndị nke ya ọgwụ adịgboroja.
Nke ahụ bụ eziokwu. Cherekwa ahụ, nwunye m gwara m na gị na di gị agbago ọgwụ ahụ. O nwere ihe mere unu na ahụ
mba, o nweghị. Mana ịma na ahụ dị iche iche. Ọtụtụ ndị gbagoro ọgwụ a, o nweghị ihe mere ha. Mana ụfọdụ nwere ike inwe obere ahụ ọkụ na ahụ mgbu ebe a gbara ha ọgwụ a, mana ụfụ ya bụ nwantịntị oge.
Mba, nke a abụghị nsogbu.
Ihe ka mkpa bụ na ọgwụ a ga-echekwakwa gị n'ezinụlọ gị na ndị nọ gị nso ibute COVID-19 nakwa ikesa nje ahụ.
Mama Ada, ị na-akọwa na ọ bụrụ na anyị gbaa ọgwụ a na anyị ga-enwe nchekwa ma gbochie onwe anyị na ndị ọzọ?
Ọgwụ a bụ maka ọdịmma onye ọbụla. Ọtụtụ mmadụ agbago ya.
Imeela Mama Ada, mụ na nwunye m ga-eji gbaa ọgwụ a ugbu a.
Ndị be anyị, ọgwụ mgbochi COVID-19 bụ n'efu. Ọ dị mma, dị ire. Gbaa ya ugbu a ka ị gbochie onwe gị na ndị ọzọ, ma chetakwa ka ị na-akwa aka gị na-eyi mkpuchi imi na ọnụ, na-enye ohere ma gị na mmadụ nọrọ.
Ozi a si n'aka National Orientation Agency site na nkwado UNICEF.
All right, well, Welcome back. It's still COVID Talks on Omega 101.7 FM and my radio's your radio. And today, week 8 of our program, we've been having a conversation on birth registration. My guest has been the State Immunization Officer, Mrs. Nkechi. She's been helping us, of course, if you joined early. And early enough, but the phone lines remain 0815 1017 777. At this point, let's move up on ways to boost birth registration in Nigeria. But before that, of course, I said we're going to talk about the challenges of birth registration. Some parents are struggling to have their child's birth registered in Nigeria. This causes huge problems, creating barriers to accessing services, basic child and human rights, education and health services. However, corruption at different government regulatory agencies and lack of public awareness on the importance of birth registration, coupled with ingrained social and cultural belief, also promotes the non-registration of births and deaths of children. Now, over to you, Mrs. Nkechi. What are the basic challenges of birth registration in Nigeria?
Okay, thank you so much, my moderator. Birth registration is a good thing to do, but without some challenges. The first challenge is people getting to know about it. Our people don't register their births. Most children's births are not registered with the health facilities where they are born, and this creates a problem in terms of documentation and decision making and planning for the nation. I encourage the mothers, the parents, the caregivers to ensure that their child is registered at birth in the facility or the local government area where the child is born. That's the first challenge. Then another challenge is the challenges that come with the birth registration is falsification. Falsification. When children are not registered at the right time or are left to their adulthood, there is tendency to cut short, to cut corners. They are not giving government the necessary information they would need to know that will help in planning the nation, in planning for the future of the country. Falsification of birth registration by some people, especially when it is not done at birth. Then again, especially when it's not done at birth. Then another problem and challenge that comes with birth registration is the fact that in some maybe LGAs or some registration centers, this birth registration is supposed to be free, supposed to be done free. But in some local governments or some areas where the birth registration is done, you will see that some of them ask the mothers for tokens, you know? And this, we're looking at the economic situation of the country, considering that some people may not be, have the capacity to pay off, even if it is 100 naira. Some people get it very hard these days to spend 1 naira for what they didn't plan for.
True.
So charging or billing caregivers or parents or persons that have come to take birth certificates, I think it's demoralizing, and it stops some people from doing work, discharging their civic responsibility, which shouldn't be. Although in some areas where I've tried to find out, they said that they don't charge for children up to certain years, but from so and so, maybe 18 or so, I've forgotten that they do charge. Take some token from that person, that this is government rule or something. But however it is, let us, maintain the standard. If tokens are taken It's generally, it's the government rule that tokens should be paid for by adults. I believe that may be the penalty for not doing registering them at birth.
Yeah.
But let it not be something that we are doing out of our ways, especially when the child is still young. The mother gives birth to a facility where she is lucky enough to have the birth registration people on board. You understand?
Yeah.
Let them do it as stipulated by government, free of charge.
Okay.
And then let there be enough publicity. I don't think there is enough publicity. It's still a challenge. People don't know about it. People don't know about this birth and death registration. There should be enough publicity so that people will know where they are, where the birth registration people are, what they are doing, and then they will have the good mind to come and register their wards.
True.
I believe every mother or father or caregiver would like her children to be identified with the country where he or she is born. Because whether you like it or not, Nigeria is still your country, and you have no other country, and this is where you are born, and this is where you will be identified with. So these and a few other more, I think, are the challenges we have with birth registration in Nigeria.
Okay, quite interesting. The conversation has been with the State Immunization Officer, Mrs. Nkechi, and we're looking into birth registration, the importance. She has actually highlighted several areas and key points. But as we come to an end, we've cited the challenges. Let's also talk about ways. In what ways can we boost birth registration in Nigeria? Over to you, Mrs. Nkechi.
Thank you so much. Just before we close and just before I end, let me quickly also talk about my program, which is immunization.
Okay.
Dear customers, you have exhausted your extra value.
Oh, sorry about that. Let's quickly connect with her right now.